The EVH5153, what a legendary amplifier. They do a lot of things. They do clean, they do crunch, but of course the most legendary tones that these amps have to offer are the high gain tones, at least in my opinion. I have the 50 watt EL34 version over here and the LBX1 over here, 15 watts. This one has the green, blue, and red channels, and the blue channel on this one is quite unique, very cool actually. And this one has the blue and red channels as well, but the blue channel on this one sounds a bit more traditional EVH. Now I want to talk more about these amplifiers and also talk about my new Quad Cortex capture pack based on these amplifiers, but first I want to take a listen to how the 50 watt version sounds through my ENGL 4x12 XXL cabinet mic'd with an SM57 with the red channel, just to hear how brutal this amplifier can get and how articulate and crunchy. Take a listen. That was awesome. So that was my ESP LTD Phoenix Arctic Metal with the Duncan distortion pickup in it. So very articulate indeed. And I thought that the amplifier sounded great through this cabinet once again. Because I've tried a bunch of amplifiers through this cabinet recently just for fun because it's my new cab, my new and only cabinet. And I'm loving it a lot. It has a lot of character and it just has a brutal roar to it that I really enjoy. Anyway, so I've featured the 50 watt EL34 version on the channel plenty of times. I love this amplifier. In fact, it's one of my first amplifiers, believe it or not. It's one of my first amplifiers of this entire collection. And this thing sounds absolutely massive. There's so much low end on tap. There's a resonance control on the back, which I always have set at around noon, sometimes below, sometimes slightly above noon, but never more than that because, as I said, it has so much low end. But yeah, 50 watts, 2 EL34s, and overall a great sounding amplifier. The green channel, so the clean channel, which is over here. And this section, by the way, is shared with the blue channel. So we've got these dual concentric pots over here for the gain as well as the volume, which is great. But yeah, the clean channel sounds very clean. You know, it's just a cool clean channel. When you crank the gain, you can get a sort of crunch out of it, but it's not really a crunch that I really enjoy personally, but the cleans are really nice. And then the blue channel, as I said, is quite unique on this one. It sounds very fat and sort of a bit more vintage and loose than the more traditional blue channels on the other EVHs, which are a bit more tight and crunchy. Kind of like the red channel, but with a lot less gain, basically. But this one is more fat and juicy. Kind of reminds me of a Soldano, actually, which is interesting. So that's actually what I really like about this version of the EVH 5150. You know, it offers you a bit more versatility in terms of the tones, because the red channel, my favorite channel, has a lot of gain, of course, but it also sounds the most articulate, tight, and aggressive. So that's like the ultimate metal channel. So yeah, this thing is an absolute beast, and it's really easy to dial into. I mean, my favorite setting on the red channel is basically with the 3-band EQ set to noon, with presence slightly above noon and gain set to around 10 o'clock or so. And then resonance on the back set to about 12 o'clock or so. I also had the 6L6 version for a little bit, which I reviewed on the channel and also compared to this amplifier. It sounds a little bit different. But you can dial them in to sound extremely similar if you want to. Unfortunately, the 6L6 version broke down on me twice, which I'm still sad about because I just really liked that amplifier a lot. But what can you do? And then we have the little brother, the 15 watt amplifier. This is the first version. You've also got the LBX2, which has the green and blue channels, I believe. And then the Stealth, which has the green and red channels. And this one, as I said, has the blue and red channels. And so it doesn't do clean tones really. It only does crunch and high gain tones. And the blue channel is cool on this one. As I said, quite different than this one. It's quite crunchy and it's a little bit darker sounding than the red channel. The red channel just sounds how you'd expect it. Very similar to the red channel on the EL34, but a slightly different character. Plenty of gain on tap. And I know this is only a 15 watt amplifier with EL84s in the power section. And people are going to say, yeah, it doesn't have the oomph, but trust me, okay? Yesterday in the room, I cranked this thing through the cabinet and it sounded absolutely massive, okay? I do have the resonance control on the back cranked up all the way though. But yeah, it sounds huge, man. I mean, if you're going to crank it up super loud, of course, it's going to have less headroom than the 50 watt or the 100 watt amps, of course. But it still sounds great. And I think this amp is really underrated, actually. It's a great EVH amp and it does really sound like an EVH. Now, I believe it has less gain stages than the 50 watt version. So for the red channel to achieve the same amount of gain, you're going to have to crank the gain control up a little bit more than on this one. But to be honest, I mean, above 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, the gain is just unusable. It has so much gain. And I've heard that the stealth version has even more gain. So anyway, really like these amplifiers. These are a little bit different, but they all share the same DNA, right? And I remember in the past when EVH announced the new 5153s, I was like, that's interesting. Are they going to sound the same as the 6505s or the old 5150s? And to my surprise, no. These in general sound way more articulate and tight than the old PV 5150s, which I also really like, but it's quite a different sound actually. I think these sound way more modern. So yeah, that's the EVH 5150. Now, of course, I wanted to capture these amplifiers into my quad Cortex, so I made a pack which is based on these amplifiers, the VH pack, which contains the sounds of both of these amplifiers. And I captured the amplifiers again, just as with all my quad Cortex pack, through my real cabinet mic'd up, and also with a reactive load, so direct captures that you can use with IRs or the stock cabinets. So let's take a quick listen to how some of those captures turned out. Check it out. Great, so that sounded really crunchy and articulate, and when I compared the sound of the mic'd one that you heard earlier in the video to these sounds, they sound identical basically. So the captures turned out super accurate and I'm super excited about it. For me, I made these captures with the load box with an IR in mind from ML Sound Lab that I created inside the Miko 2 plugin with the EDVH 4x12 cabinet option, which just sounded excellent to me. And for some reason, the stock cabinets in the Quad Cortex this time with these amplifiers couldn't really match that tone. I think I shared the recipe for that IR in another video recently, which you can check out, of course. But of course, you can get some great tones out of the stock cabinets as well. So I put all the captures into 2 presets, as I usually do. 12 captures again through the real cabinet into 1 preset, and then 12 captures with the load box. And in the preset, I just loaded up that stock cabinet. So for both, I did 8 captures with the 50 watt head and 4 captures with the 15 watt head. And you can just flick between them. So that's a really cool way to compare the two. And then I put them into the presets, and when you buy the preset pack from me, I'll put a link in the description below, of course, by the way. You can open up the presets and then use the scenes to scroll through some of the presets that I selected. But of course, all 24 captures will be included inside of the presets for you to check out and enjoy, hopefully. Let me grab my ESP LTD Phoenix 1000 Deluxe, the red one with the Fishman Fluence modern pickups in it, and then jam through some of the captures a little bit so you guys can hear what is on offer here. Check it out. So yeah, I think that pack came out really well. And again, check out my SDS web store on Ko-Fi for more information. So if you want the presets, you can go there to purchase them and to support the channel, of course. I'd really appreciate that. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the tones of these wonderful EVH amplifiers as well. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on the tones. And also please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And of course, you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram, and of course on my Ko-Fi web store to be notified of new releases and stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!